Welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer. A link to the Praying with Teresa of Avila website has been provided to enable you to easily find the catalog of offerings on this channel, along with today's presentation, The Second Dwelling Places, Interior Castle, Saint Teresa of Avila. Discusses the importance of perseverance if one is to reach the final dwelling places, the great war the devil wages, and the importance of taking the right road from the beginning. Offers a remedy that has proved very efficacious. Let's speak about the soul that enters the second dwelling places and what such a soul does in them. This stage pertains to those who have already begun to practice prayer and have understood how important it is not to stay in the first dwelling places. But they still don't have the determination to remain in this second stage without turning back, for they don't avoid the occasions of sin. This failure is quite dangerous. These souls have received a good deal of mercy, as sometimes they seek to escape from snakes and poisonous creatures, worldly temptations, and they understand it is good to avoid them. These rooms involve much more effort than do the first, though there is not as much danger that souls seem to recognize, and there is hope of entering further into the castle. These rooms involve more effort because those in the first dwelling places are like deaf mutes. They who endure not speaking more easily than those who hear but cannot speak. These souls are able to hear the Lord when He calls, as they are getting closer to where His Majesty dwells. His mercy and goodness are so bountiful. Whereas we are occupied in our worldly pastimes and still falling into sin and rising again, these beasts are so poisonous, worldly attractions, dangerous and noisy, that it would be a wonder if we kept from falling over them. Yet this Lord desires intensely that we love Him and seek His company. So He calls us to draw near. His voice is so sweet that the poor soul dissolves at not immediately doing what He commands. Thus His voice is a greater trial than not hearing it. These appeals and calls come through words spoken by other good people, or through sermons or good books, or through illnesses and trials, or also through a truth He teaches during the brief moments we spend in prayer. However lukewarm these moments, God esteems them highly. Don't underestimate this first favor, nor should you lose hope if you do not respond to Him at once. His Majesty knows well how to wait, especially when He sees perseverance and good desires. One gains much through perseverance, but the attacks made by the devils afflict the soul more in these rooms than in the previous ones. In this stage, the devils represent snakes, worldly things, as though almost eternal. They bring to mind the esteem one has in the world, one's friends and relatives, one's health, and 1,000 other obstacles. Oh, Jesus, what an uproar the devils instigate here. And the afflictions of the poor soul, it doesn't know whether to continue or to return to the first room. Reason shows the soul that it is mistaken in thinking that things of the world are not worth anything when compared to what it is aiming after. Faith teaches the soul about where it will find fulfillment. As for the three faculties of the soul, the memory shows it where all worldly pursuits end, holding before it death, showing it how quickly the dead are forgotten by all, and how their graves are walked upon. The will is inclined to love, seeing countless signs of love. It especially keeps in mind how this true lover never leaves it, accompanying it and giving it life and being. The intellect tells the soul of its certainty that outside this castle neither security nor peace will be found, and that its own house is so filled with blessings to be enjoyed if it wants. The intellect will also ask who it is that finds all he needs in his own house, and who has a guest who will make him Lord over all goods, provided he avoids going astray like the prodigal son. These are reasons for conquering the devils. The whole world's habit of getting involved in vanities ruins everything. Our faith is so dead that we desire what we see more than what faith tells us. These poisonous things, worldly things, are the cause of much misfortune. Clearly, many remedies are necessary to cure us. Certainly, the soul undergoes great trials here. If the devil realizes that the soul has all it needs in its temperament and habits to advance far, he will gather all hell together to make the soul go back outside the castle. Ah, my Lord, your help is necessary here. Without it, we can do nothing. In your mercy, do not allow this soul to suffer deception and give up what was begun. Enlighten it that it may see how all its good is within this interior castle, and that it may turn away from bad companions. It's a wonderful thing for a person to talk to those who speak about this interior castle. He can talk so much with those closer to the center, then they will bring him to where they are in the castle. Let the soul always heed the warning not to be conquered. If the devil sees that it has a strong determination to lose its life and all he offers it, he will abandon it much more quickly. Let the soul be manly and determined to fight with all the devils and realize that there are not better weapons than the cross. It's so important that souls shouldn't be thinking about consolations at the beginning stage. It would be a very poor way to start building so precious an edifice. If the foundation is on sand, the whole building will fall to the ground. These souls will always be dissatisfied and tempted. These are not the dwelling places where it rains manna. Those lie further ahead. It's amusing that though we still have 1,000 imperfections and our virtues have hardly begun to grow, we are not yet ashamed to seek spiritual delights in prayer or to complain about dryness. Embrace the cross Christ carried. This must be your task. Suffer more for him, and you will be rewarded that much more. As for favors, thank him, for it is as you would for something freely given. His Majesty knows best what is suitable for us. There is no need for us to be advising him about what he should give us. The whole aim of any person who is beginning in prayer, and don't forget this, because it's very important, should be that he work and prepare himself with determination and every possible effort to bring his will into conformity with God's will. Be certain that the greatest perfection attainable along the spiritual path lies in this conformity. It's the person who lives in more perfect conformity who will receive more from the Lord and be more advanced on this road. Don't think that in what concerns perfection, there is some mystery or things unknown or still to be understood. For in perfect conformity to God's will lies all our good. The Lord often desires that dryness and bad thoughts afflict and pursue us without our being able to get rid of them. Sometimes He permits reptiles, worldly choices, to bite us so that we may know how to guard ourselves better and that He may prove whether we are greatly grieved by having offended Him. If you fall, don't become discouraged and stop striving to advance, for God will draw out good. Even if we didn't see the great harm a dissipated life does to us through any other means than through this assault, in order to be brought back to recollection, that would be enough. We have so many true friends, the faculties of the soul, with whom we must live, but they seem to be warring against us because of what our vices have done to them. Peace, peace, the Lord said. If we don't find peace in our own house, we'll not find it outside. I ask those who have not begun to enter within themselves to do so, and those who have begun, not to let the war make them turn back. Let them trust in the mercy of God and not in themselves, and they will see how His Majesty brings them from dwelling places of one stage to a land where these wild animals, the world's temptations, cannot touch or tire them, and they shall enjoy blessings even in this life. I've written about how to conduct yourself in disturbances set up by the devil, and how to always recollect yourself with gentleness if your recollection is going to be more continual. Provided that we don't give up, the Lord will guide everything for our benefit, even though we may not find anyone to teach us. There is no other remedy for this evil of giving up prayer than to begin again. Someone could think that if turning back is so bad, it would be better never to begin, but to remain outside the castle. The door of entry to this castle is prayer. It is foolish to think that we will enter heaven without entering into ourselves, coming to know ourselves, reflecting on our misery and what we owe God, and begging Him often for mercy. If we never look at Him or reflect on what we owe Him and the death He suffered for us, I don't know how we'll be able to know Him or do works in His service. And what value can faith have without works and without joining them to the merits of Jesus Christ our good? May it please His Majesty to give us understanding of how much we cost Him, of how the servant is no greater than his master, and that we must work in order to enjoy His glory. And we need to pray for this understanding so that we aren't always entering into temptation. Amen.